G'day everyone, Half Kaldorei Bard here. You know, I often think to myself, maybe if I were a developer for WoW, I would employ a wealth of ideas in fleshing out the world and building it the likes of which no one has ever seen before. But I lack talent. I didn't study code, and I lack talent, and have the attention span of a Labrador, and did I say I lack a thing called talent? So instead, I took the next easiest option and became a YouTuber, where all I have to do is just write what I think on the fly onto a piece of paper, in poorly thought out dot points, and just rant. Speaking of which, let's talk about the soft world revamp coming to World of Warcraft Midnight. Well, I call it soft, but they're building an entire subcontinent on the upper end of the Eastern Kingdoms. By now, it is no secret that we're getting a large revamp in the Quel'thalas region located in the Eastern Kingdoms. But what I don't see people talking about is the monumental scale of how the devs intend on building this part of the world. It won't just be a fresh coat of paint over the instance version we got in the Burning Crusade. No. I believe it is going to be an extension of the actual continent. Say goodbye to that invisible wall over the Eastern Plaguelands. Fuck, we might actually even get a revamped Stratholme, considering how close it is on the border of Quel'thalas. We might even see a proper, grandiose Thalassian wall that actually borders on the former human lands. Let's get into the bread and butter, get an idea of just how large this fucking thing is. WoW follows a very simple zone formula in its modern iteration. Generally, there are 4 zones, a capital city, and maybe a subzone during launch. If we are to follow this formula, we can easily implement that for Quel'thalas in the following way. Our capital city will likely be Silvermoon, but on an upscaled level and detailed akin to how Suramar is. After all, the cities that we do have in game are described to be much larger in scale if we are to interpret them in the lore. Just about every building can be navigated and walked in, with all the amenities and nooks and crannies one may find in a modern day version of a World of Warcraft city. Picture this. Can you imagine walking through the streets of Silvermoon, listening to its iconic music? You walk into a building and...
I know that I can't take no more, it ain't no lie. I wanna see you out that door, baby, bye bye bye.
Anyway, due to the scale of the city, I wouldn't be surprised if Silvermoon would also be a zone on its own, with a main hub and a large section that involves us questing and learning more about the inner workings of the city itself, especially if the theme is uniting the elven tribes. Expect to see a Blood Elf quarter, a Kaldorei quarter, a High Elf and Void quarter. Also, who knows, maybe they'll even do a sneaky Amani quarter, if the story doesn't entirely mirror Warcraft's past. Bah, who am I kidding? The Arathi are totally going to arrive to aid Elvenkind at the end, mirroring the history of the elves and humanity banding together to take down a larger Amani threat. Sorry, troll friends, your culture is getting fucked for the 80 millionth time. Then there's the zone of the Eversong Woods. Boy, am I excited to see what a large-scaled version of this zone will be. When you think high fantasy, Eversong Woods is the visual definition of what to expect, with elegant, curvy, autumn-inspired trees, spires, and regal elven hamlets decorating the landscape. And for visual flavor, the Dead Scar may even show signs of healing if the Scourge threat has been reduced. Although, I would imagine they would like to leave breadcrumbs to a future war. The Scourge is a fan-favourite faction after all. The Eversong Woods would also have its iconic cello theme, updated of course, playing in the background, and I'd like to imagine there will be open spaces that serve as visual hotspots for players to simply sit back and smell the roses. We've been getting a lot of those in modern iterations of WoW zones, and I reckon this will be no different. Next up on the list is the Ghostlands, where I would imagine we learn a little more about the Windrunner legacy. Perhaps it is given a completely new recontextualization with its namesake. Rather than keeping the vast majority of Void Elves close to Silvermoon City and the Sunwell, the largest concentration of them will be featured here in the Ghostlands. I mean, it would make sense. Of all the races that need fleshing out, the Void Elves are in dire need of some serious identity and culture building. What better than a settlement for themselves with a twisted take on the Thalassian structures, but with dark spires reminiscent of their armor? Really give them the opportunity to flesh themselves out as their own people. With an upscaled Ghostlands, I could imagine this working out with even their own mini-city to boot. The Thalassian wall and connection to the Eastern Plague Lands will also make its debut here. Bordering on the Ghostlands and the Eversong Woods is Zul'Aman, both the city and forest territory of the Amani Empire. It would be criminal not to include the Amani Trolls, as they have played a huge role in Warcraft's past with the formation of the High Elven Kingdom and the Arathi Empire, and far before that, the death of the Old God minions, or whatever the fuck his name is. Point being, even though they are a fallen empire, their territory is still vast and encompasses a great deal of the Quel'thalas subcontinent. The territory of Zul'Aman will also contain the city which I'd love to see up on the scale of maybe Zuldazar or Gundrak, and the actual forest territory and pockets of villages and points of combat. It would be a fascinating endeavor to view the Amani Troll as an originally hostile and wary people due to our perilous history with them, but slowly gaining their trust and eventually putting our differences aside to face the larger Void threat. I think it would be a missed opportunity not to flesh this important part of Warcraft lore out. And finally, the Isle of Quel'thalas, the Magus' Terrace revamped, and the Sunwell Plateau in its upscaled glory. Would this be our player hub? Perhaps, but I'm of the opinion it'll be around the size of the Isle of Dawn with its own list of problems and issues we need to deal with, such as the defense of the fucking Sunwell. This is going to be a major point of contention in the upcoming expansion, so it would make sense to enlarge it, engorge, absolutely pump the shit out of this zone and flesh it out, to the point that it has more detail and lore tidbits that will serve to move the plot moving forward. Anyway, I'm fucking thrilled to see Quel'thalas in its upscaled glory, and I think it's going to be one hell of a large revamp. You may even see the border of the Ghostlands and Eastern Plaguelands actually connected and not instanced like it was in the past. But alas, for now, I'm going to wrap it up there. Remember to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and comment. And for some extra flavor, follow us on our social media pages like Twitter, Bluesky, Threads, and Instagram. You do this, send us a message, and you can have your transmogs featured at the end of our videos. Speaking of which, here's one such mog now. Getting into the theme of Silvermoon, this submission is from Lunica from the Moonguard server, featuring her Blood Elf rogue, and dare I say, this is a fine-ass mock. What we have here is the combined pieces of the Eternal Bloodfang hood, so you get this from the anniversary event, well, the recent, 30th? 20th anniversary? Man, WoW's been around for so long, I have literally lost track as to how fucking old this game is. Alright, and we've got the Violent Zealot's shoulder pads, which, correct me if I'm wrong, that is the one that you get from Wrath of the Lich King. It is one of the rogue sets. May or may not, I don't know, it's red, it mixes well, it blends in well. Then we've got, the gloves, the Eternal Bloodfang, those are the Duelist's Midnight Doublets, which, Is that also from Wrath of the Lich King or Cataclysm? One of the two. Same as the boots there. They're actually part of the same set. I believe a questing set, if you guys are looking for it. You know, you can all look it up on the search tool in your fucking transmog search thingo anyway. And let's take a look. Yep, Bloodfang pants. And what is that belt? That belt, I believe, is either a Legion or a Warlords of Draenor one. I'm leaning towards Legion because that'd be some big detail, and Legion was started putting in a whole bunch of detail on belts and shit, like a whole lot more than Warlords of Draenor did. As for the weapons, I think one of them is the Plunderstorm weapons. The Plunderstorm scimitar that you get from participating in the Plunderstorm event. And the other one, that can't be the trading post one. Fuck. You know what? That one has me in a bit of a mind slide. Is that a Battle for Azeroth one? Or fuck me, I don't know. But it looks good. No, it all blends in really well. All in all, blends in really well. Fucking hell, this is a solid set. We're actually starting off this year with a saucy, sexy swap. Alright, that's it. I'm done. Catch you later, guys.